Hello, I am called Bosco Obasanjo, and I want to tell you about my new book called Our Gift to the World by Rudolph Young. I noticed that you have been watching my videos on daily work. I have more than 50 videos on daily work, and I am trying to prepare African Americans for the apocalypse that is what's going on right now. But we seem not to be able to understand. The problem is that we don't know who we are and how we fit in the scheme of things in the apocalypse, time of the end, which is now. Because all history ever written in the world is about us, African Americans, and one particular family. And that family includes Sebastian Ship, Mason Ash, Linda D. Surratt Nixon, Arthur Priceoff, Oprah Winfrey, Mel Watt, and John C. Brevard Cleveland of Grover, North Carolina. General Horace Russell, who is also descended from Princess Fatima Bello of the Sokoto Caliphate, who happened to be a slave here in America. And Oprah is descended from her brother on the Swan Pond plantation of W.W. Avery in Burke County, North Carolina. We are one family that God has chosen to reveal their history in the apocalypse. Regardless of what Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump and Clarence Thomas and all those people say. Now, I am going to play about 5 minutes of the text from my latest book, Our Gift to the World by Rudolph Young.
Sarah Carson, mother and son, Lincolnton, North Carolina, 1900. Tukandara, by Nicer W. Young, African American Generations, Weston Lincoln, North Carolina. Also with Rudolph Elmore Young, Iron Station, North Carolina. Dale Brewer, Durham, North Carolina, Isola AKY. MB, UK, Robert Ability, Ghana. Loretta Davis, Jamaica, Hassan Nicer, Sri Lanka, and Haiti Apodiner, Turkey. Iron Station, North Carolina, 5/3/2023. Maria Elizabeth Guyon Harris of Lincolnton, North Carolina, daughter of Jean Lafitte. Preface. The core family of the Maple Grove clans was the Carson, Young family of Vale, Northbrook, Lincoln County, North Carolina, but the home village was a Maple Grove in Connolly Springs, Burke County, North Carolina. The ancestral church was Glorious Maple Grove Holiness Reformed Church of God in the Americas. The school, taught by California Carson, closed in the late 19th century. There were sharecroppers in West Lincoln County. Elizabeth Catlett Morra, daughter of Mary Carson Catlett of the District of Columbia, often visited her family in Lincolnton. Her family was the inspiration for her famous print, Sharecropper. The family is descended from the historic Pleasant Garden plantation of John Hazard Carson in McDowell County, North Carolina. The former slaves are descended from slave Sarah, Lucinda, Padella, and Princess Fatima Bello of the Sokoto Caliphate, and her brother on the W. Avery Swan Pond Plantation in adjoining Burke County, East Middletown, Connecticut, at the bend of the Catawba. Copilot of AI has just emailed me to tell me that Legacy Tucker, S. Grove, was not a business and burr where they were try INF to burr a book called Our Gift to the Word by Rudolph Young. I ignored the message because Tucker's. Hanishan Muhammad Bello, her brother, got his way out of slavery and back to Africa on credit. The Fleming and Carson families are descended from or related to George W. Carson, John H. Carson, John Carson's J.L. Carson, Davy Crockett, a Marrano Jew called Adolphus Della Mata, and Usman Dan Fadio, the first Sultan at Sokoto. In July 2023, Johnsy Brevard Cleveland came to Lincolnton, North Carolina, with her DNA database. She was a direct descendant of Hannibal Brevard, a Yoruba, and cousin to Olusegun Obasanjo, former president of Nigeria. With the help of the former slave master's granddaughter, Frances Puckett, Phyllis Randleman, and I reconstructed the name and history of Hannibal Smith. We went through the names: Brevard, Randleman, Sancho, Singo, Sancho, and finally Bosco Obasanjo. Dr. Fatima Bello and Dr. and Obasanjo Bello are both doctors in the USA. The Black families in Ironton Township, Lincoln County, were in Johnsy's database. When she told me that the Winfrey family of Kosciuszko, Atala County, Mississippi, was related to her, I told her what I only told to my adopted niece, Cliffordian Foster Bethia, also my caseworker, as I am 100% permanently My so-called friends called he a liar when I talk about my life story. Beatrice Winfrey said that I was lucky God showed me What was the purpose of my life? I was to tell Negroes who they are, and God will tell them who they are. I was 24 and standing out in the yard and the Winfrey home. They were sitting on the porch. They were drilling me about their relatives in western North Carolina, and I learned about my African American relatives in the 16 counties around Attala County, which was once Choctaw land. May 6, 2024, 13:00, HRS, Monday. Forward. White Americans have messed up the minds of Black people. Christine Hudson B.S., RN, came to my house, front of VA, every Monday. She made a remark about my lawn, that she had to walk, the weeds, with fear of being bitten by a snake. In a few seconds, I had a flashback of my life, until that moment. In a 45-minute conversation in 1999 with Dr. Alan Stodemire of Emory University about Legacy Tucker's Grove, he said, "Your success is due to your undiagnosed dyslexia as a child and an unusual form of PTSD traumatic growth, and the VA doctors do not have a clue. You have a problem with abstract thoughts and never could recognize social cues, so you memorized actions and reactions. You do not have the capacity to love and be loved. Your high school schoolmates will describe you in negative way. You shall be fearful going out and coming in. Black people are afraid. They even suggest that they are Hebrew Israelites. Dr. Okafor, an Igbo from eastern Nigeria, did not broach the subject until I mentioned it in his office. Africans usually tell African American what they wanted to hear. In this case, I had studied the Igbo language and history after I was sent to a secret base in Chad during the Biafran Civil War. All I can tell you is that all humanitarian missions were not real humanitarian missions. Africans who are working with the Documenting Venture Smith Project will not tell the American scholars that Malagasco, Susaduka Dukandara, and Kandazu are embedded words that are not West African, not African at all, but designed to convey a message to those Dutch and Dutch Ashkenazi at Elmina Castle on the Gold Coast, Barbados, and Newport, Rhode Island, Robertson Mumford, Thomas Mumford, Captain Collingwood, and Brotier were never at Anamobo, and Brotier was a racial epithet, straight from African American stereotypes. Your name shall be a byword. White people have erased the African and African American identity so much that we are pro-Palestinian or pro-Israelis against the Hebrew Israelites, our African ancestral identity. Booker T. Washington, Charles W. Chestnut, James Ellington, Hiram Rhodes Revels, Davy Crockett, Major Tom Link, Mel Watt, Ilioma Guerriere, Philip Guerriere, Olusegun Obasanjo, Jean Lafitte, Barack Obama on his mother's side, Maria Elizabeth Guyon and her friend, Lucy Craft Laney and Oprah Winfrey, Elizabeth Catlett Morra, Arthur Ashe, Arthur Prysock, all had controversy about their ethnic identity, except Washington and Du Bois are in one clan called the Maple Grove Clans. A clan is a community. The historic Pleasant Gardens plantation of John Hazard Carson near Marion in McDowell County, North Carolina, formerly in Burke County, North Carolina. Although the fire started where the African nation of Cameroon in 1384, the Cameroon also had members of the Hebrew tract. The Yellow Rose England had the biggest empire that ever lived, and they never existed only in the world France was England's. Arrival ended up in 100 Years' War, and France did not slavery until 1880, along with Cuba, Brazil, and all the Latin American countries in the United States was considered power in the world that transit itself has a world empire of which it did not become. Until 1920, and then it became started the century of America by President Woodrow Wilson. It had already started the 100 years.
I apologize for that. And what had happened is that this AI translator started translating from Hindi to Swahili and back to Yoruba and Tree. Evidently, it was too much because the words became garbled and you couldn't understand what they're saying. But I will go on and explain something. You have been watching this video, PLO Lumumba and others, Malema and others, and they are talking about the situation as it exists in Africa today, that they have reinstituted neo-colonialism that Dubois and Marcus Garvey warned us about. But we are in that apocalypse now, and they are making the same mistakes. They are not adhering to the Mossi Prophecy of 1441 about how Europeans and Americans are going to deal with African people at the time of the end. So I'll leave it there, and I will be coming on time to time, but I would never mention this topic again, but I will go back and do normal everyday posts. Thank you.